Alright guys, welcome back to Build It, Tune It EV. Today I'm super excited. Just got this in. As many of you know, we sold the last bike, so now it's time to replace that, and that we did. So I stuck with the Super73 brand. Let's get this opened and see what's inside. So give me a second while we just cut some tape here. I don't think there's too much more preventing me. Looks like we should be good now. All right. So they kind of have a box over a box, so let's open this. All right. Maybe that'll stay there. Maybe it won't. With some persuasion. There we go. All right. Oh, it still doesn't say what it is. Although I'm sure most of you already know. All right. And I think those are the two straps, if I recall. Oh yeah, there's these, yeah, sorry about that. There's actually some locking tabs they have that you pull. You kind of can't see them, but maybe there'll be some on the front. Yeah, cool, so we'll be able to show you that on the front. But don't be a fool like me and try to open the box without removing them because it won't come off. Oh, look, this one already conveniently has. And let's see, so you just grab the pull tag, unclip, don't miss the unclip right there, and they just pull right out. So it's pretty self-explanatory. And now we can see. And you are literally getting the opportunity to see it before me. Alright, here's what we're going to do. Oh, it looks sick. Alright. Oh, this looks sick. Let's grab the camera here. You guys got to check this color out in person. Man, this thing looks sick. You guys are on the fence about it or the color. Do it. Alright, so we got the box opened here. We got the bike exposed. Now, you got to hold the bike at this point. Probably should have two people, but if you're creative, you'll have no problem. And I'm going to bet that it's ready to just move. And that if I was to do this, and then this, we'll be good. Sweet. This is the battery that we're just going to sell sealed. So not even going to open up the factory battery. So if you guys need one, I'll sell this factory sealed. Can't get any better than that. As long as there's nothing in here that I need to get to ride the bike, which I don't think there is. So we should be good. But it is sealed. It's remaining that way until sold. Until you open it. Alright. Let's see what else we got. So in the front box, there is two packages that you'll get. One of them is the charger. So, Alright, yep. And this is the same old charger. Same one that comes with all the S1, S2s. Manual. Gotta read that. Alright. So we got the charger box. And then we have here, it doesn't say what it is. Let's open it. Alright, we have the brake caliper spacers, which are these plastic pieces that you get when you open the box. So if you're wondering what these are for when you just change your pads. So you're going to put these to the side for now. The manual, obviously you should read this, and we're going to do the same here. They give you, oh cool, they used to not do this, at least from my my understanding and what I remember. They give you a dual 13 and 15 millimeter spanner, and then they give you an Allen wrench as well. Obviously the pedals, it doesn't come with them installed. Hardware, I'm not quite sure what hasn't been bolted on yet, but we'll find that out. Alright, so that concludes it for that box. So we have the spacers, the pedals, the manual, extra screws. Alright, I'm just going to take a few seconds to clean up here. Alright. Let's go through the manual here. Alright, so the very first step is going to be to install the handlebars. Use a 5mm hex wrench to remove the bolts of the handlebar clamp. Once the clamp is open, place the lower crossbar of the handlebar in the groove of the top crown. Loosely tighten the handlebar clamp with the 5mm hex wrench and adjust the angle of the handlebar to the comfort. Cross tighten the handlebar clamp from corner to corner, making sure the clamp is tight. So what they mean is just not tightening it from front to back and going to an X pattern, but let's go over that now. Alright, so in this part of the video, we're going to get the handlebars installed. Super73 does provide you with the required Allen wrench and the spanner wrench. However, I have a multi-tool, and I'm just going to use this because that's what I used to use, or what I'm used to using, excuse me. So, the first thing I can see here is, it's in the manual it says it'll be screwed on. It was not, it was just taped on there. We're going to need a pair of scissors to cut the handlebars off. They use a very thick cable tie. So I'm going to hold the handlebar so it doesn't fall and scratch the frame. I can kind of feel the tension here. Okay, so I snapped that one. I've pulled it away from the frame now towards me, and there's one more on the fork. So there's some wiring in the front to be careful not to cut. Okay. So we've cut, there's two cable ties that hold the bars on. And now the padding can basically fall right off. And, oh, it's pretty convenient. Okay. So the first thing that you'll notice is that the handlebars here, the wiring is kind of tucked between the front headlight panel. So you're just going to have to kind of pull up, and then they kind of fill into that gap, fall into that gap. Now once you're in that gap, they move just fine. So now we can actually set the handlebar, and we're just going to kind of hold that in place carefully to not scratch the bars up. Get these out. So there'll be 4 bolts, and you'll see the Super73 cap. I'm sure their logo does have a direction, but I just went with what looked close. Alright, we got 1 threaded in, 2 threaded in. I'm going to slide these back to get these. So when they say the cross-tightening pattern, that doesn't mean right away. That's obviously once you get them tightened and start to torque them. Oh, great. That's the wrong size there. Alright. So it's number 4, which it does say in the manual. So we're just snugging these up equally. You don't want to do one way too much or the front or back too much. You want them to be equal. And that's just what I'm doing here, is getting them equal. And you can move the bars as needed to do this, since there's no pressure on the bar at this point. Okay, now we're just starting to get a little bit tight. Like I said, we're just equaling them up, so we're still not in the cross pattern yet. And if you have power tools, you could use this, but you have to be real careful with these aluminum threads. So that's why I'm not using any power tools here. You can get a good feel for it when you're doing it by hand. Okay, so we got that one. All right. So the bars are now to a point where they're loose, but they're on there, you know. So that's all we need for right now. All right. So next, what we're going to do is cut off all this padding on the handlebars. This side doesn't have any. This left side does. The right side didn't. Probably cut that off already. Okay. And let's take a pause here and clean up. All right, next what we have is to install the pedals. And we know that by looking at the manual here. So install and tighten pedals using the 15mm open wrench. Look for the letters marking L and R on each respective pedal, and make sure you install the left pedal on the left crank and the right on the right. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Let's get these open. They've done a great job at making this really easy. As an R for R, a green and a letter L for the left side. So we know this is the right side of the bike. They say to apply some anti-seize here or different things. For the video's purpose, I'm not going to. I'm going to go back later, apply it. It gets everywhere if you've ever used anti-seize, and this entire bike will end up gray. So for the sake of this video, we're just going to hand thread these in there. And the reason I was rotating it backwards first is just to find the threads. With these aluminum threads here, you don't want to go too crazy. So, all right. So we got that on there. And again, you would now take your spanner wrench, and then you would tighten the pedals. And you want to get these pretty tight. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm going to come back later and add the anti-seize. So I'm going to spin the crank now and just put my hands through the other side here. And I did the same thing on the other side where I spun it backwards first, just to make sure it wasn't crossed, and then spun it forward. All right. So both of those are on there by hand. We would come back again, and we would torque that down nice and tight. So now we'd have the pedals installed. All right, so the next part of the manual is tire inflation. So for transport purposes, the tires are packed partially inflated. Tires must be inflated using a pump with a Schrader valve tip to a recommended 27 to 30 psi. So we have here is a tire gauge and a tire pump. Schrader valve is just your standard bicycle tire or valve, so you can see that here. Let's zoom in. We just have a standard valve here. So they say they ship them partially aired up. Let's go ahead and check what they arrived at. So yes, they arrived at 15 psi. So we definitely are a little bit soft. So let's go ahead and get some air in there. All right, let's see what we're up to now. All right, so we're at 30. All right, and this is what we're going to end up at. So now we're going to replace the Schrader cap, and that step is done. Just repeat the process in the front tire. Okay, so I'm at a point now where I can go ahead and take the rest of the plastic off. You may have already done this. I wanted to wait. Alright, so I'm just going to finish up the handlebar installation. And to do that, you just need the Allen wrench. Get your handlebars where you like them. And start tightening them. And then now this is where we use that cross pattern. So I did the bottom right, now I use the top left. Alright, so the final part of this video, now that we have the handlebars adjusted where we want them in the seating position, so you can see here they're perfect for me. So now what we want to do is actually adjust the brakes. So if you look, they're kind of in a very too far position. So we're going to take our multi-tool here, and this is a number 4 for the brake levers. So we're going to loosen these up. And now that it's loose, you can see that they pivot up and we can set them how we want. So let's stand the bike up straight, put my hand forward, and I'm going to use my other hand to just bring the brake up and get it to a comfortable position. And now just lock one of the bolts in place. With one secure, it'll be tight enough to stay there. And we'll just come back and give it a nice torque like it was. And now the brake lever is in a good position and comfortable. And I'm just going to repeat the same thing on the other side. You don't want to tighten one of these just all at the top or all at the bottom. You want to split the gap. So, alright, now the brakes are in a comfortable position. For me, my screen is perfect and my throttle's perfect, so I don't have to mess with them. But if you did, there's a set screw at the bottom of here, which I believe is a number 3. You just put it through the hole there and you can loosen it. And then the screen is over here, and that is a 3 as well. And then you can just adjust that. So, alright, one particular spot that you want to really pay attention when routing these cables here, and I'm going to show you why this zip tie is there. So actually during shipping, as you can see, this actually rubbed in the frame already. So brand new bike. This is lit. I just took it around the yard. But as you can see, it literally rubbed through that quickly, and that's for 2 reasons. One, this front brake cable ships, and this is actually twisted back and allows it to touch the frame, and that's what was touching it. And then 2, these wires are loose, and they just kind of flop around, and they were also touching the frame. So I took the bundle, added this tie. I'm going to clip it here and then just rotate it out of the way. But the blue matched the frame, and now you can kind of tell it's not touching the frame. There's actually a finger's gap there. So now we have some distance there, and it's not going to touch and scar the frame up. Of course, it's a bike and things happen, but we don't want to have dirt and sand in the frame and then these cables rubbing into it and destroying the paint just because we're lazy. So a little tech tip in the installation that will save your frame. For me, this looks like it'll rub off with a little bit of rubbing compound. I caught it early, but hopefully this saves you as well.